This video is sponsored by Hello Games. This is nice. Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. I was just thinking about my time playing and covering No Man's Sky. As you're here, why don't I show you why I still play No Man's Sky in 2022, 6 years since its release. I streamed my first ever experience with No Man's Sky on the 12th of August 2016. This was the PC launch for No Man's Sky, with PS4 getting it in North America on the 9th and Europe on the 10th. This was also my first ever stream, 4 months into the beginning of my channel. My camera was dark, I had a black background that my hair phased into and pretty much no one in the chat, but the game was new and intriguing and fun. I streamed 4 times and released 9 standard videos at the launch in August 2016 and didn't return to No Man's Sky until Pathfinder had just dropped, the second major update. I jumped in game, no streaming, no recording, just for a bit of fun and to see what had changed after 2 huge updates. It had vastly improved. I liked it before, but now it was even better. Freighters, game modes, base building, exocrafts and more had been added. I got to a bit of exploring and discovered one of the best planets I've ever found and was so excited I made a video showing it. So I've put a few hours into this since over the last couple of days. Yeah, I'm really liking it. I found a world that I want to make my home base, and you're about to see why. First of all, pretty much like flowery grass everywhere. Some points on the planet you can see like a planet and like 2 moons and shit. There is some dangerous life about, but we'll just murder those horribly. Look at that! Even the sounds, it's like, this could scarcely be better. It was fun, but I still wasn't hooked yet. I played it for a few days after I found that planet and then jumped on a different game I had my eyes on and focused all effort on that game for a few months. 5 months later, one of the most significant updates Hello Games have ever released for No Man's Sky came out. On the 11th of August 2017, Atlas Rises was available to download, and it came with a whole new storyline, better graphics, basic multiplayer, an entire Portal network and more. This was where I got hooked. Since Atlas Rises released, I've covered No Man's Sky with full focus. I've done other games too of course, but No Man's Sky has been my main squeeze. Sadly, Atlas Rises also brought something else, a complete universe reset. This means that planets were not the same as before the update. They didn't just improve the graphics, they improved generation, which for a procedure generated game usually means everything now generates differently. My perfect paradise planet was no more than a video or 2 on my channel, but this just led to new adventures and the construction of my first major base. And this is it. I've been making regular backups of my saves since Atlas Rises was released. I have hundreds of backups from the last 5 years and was able to load up this old save with only 120 hours playtime and restore the base in its original system, though the planet no longer exists due to another universe reset for the next update. It is that reset that allows this one-time function of restoring a base. At the frontier I was growing frost crystals, with the domes in the front tower housing Fecium, which at the time was called Copperite, as well as Gamma Root for making living glass. I had multiple landing pads, which I cannot recall whether was a standard option at the time or due to glitching. Either way, they were expensive to make, requiring you to farm kelp sacks for making weatherproof rubber. Under the back, I was experimenting with building a raised platform to put my exocraft geobase on. As the game would only allow you to build them on land, I was using the newly added terrain manipulator to raise the ground and poke through the platforms. It wasn't long before Craze, another YouTuber who'd also been covering Mass Effect beforehand and moved on to No Man's Sky at the same time as me, suggested we make a few fun videos together. He told me about the Galactic Hub, a play civilization, and that he was there, and he knew a location for special alien MT that looks like lipstick, among other things, which at the time I had not heard of. We decided to do a 3-part series. The first episode on my side was me trying to find Craze, which involved moving 700,000 light years from the core of the galaxy where I was, back out to the spawn ring where the Galactic Hub is located. We used a technique back then to permanently move through portals, as the game did not allow you to have your ship with you, so you could not leave the planet through a portal. We used either a signal booster to find habitable base locations or manually find them. Finding one near a portal was a huge deal, as it made it easy for people to visit your base. Back then you could not just build a base computer, you could only find them in the wild. The collaboration with Craze made for one of my more creative videos, which I still really like to this day. It's good to be back. Well, may as well get on harvesting those crops. Ba-da-doo-doo, Scooby-Doo-ba. Harvesting crops is what I do. Shoo-ba-doo, make living glass. Doo-ba-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-doo-doo-doo. Gamma-weed, gonna make living glass. Scooby-doo-doo-da, ba-da-cha-cha, ba-da-ba-doo-da-bo. Got the gamma-weed. Might need to get some of that. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-doo-doo-doo. Shoo-ba-doo. Hello?
I found him.
Where is he?
Not over the comms, it's too easy to hack.
Then where?
Meet me at the coordinates I'm sending you now on Castillo 7.
Castillo 7?
Yes, it's the planet that looks exactly like Earth.
Earth?
I've no idea either, it's just something they say on Castillo 7. It's near the Varian Nebula. Here, I'll just send you the galactic coordinates.
Oh, I know this place. I'll be there in 4 warps.
And don't forget my payment.
Don't worry, I've got it. 400 grams of the finest Italian.
Good. Don't be late.
Is it all there?
It's all there. Now where's the ravioli?
Got him. Well, I guess the first step is to get to the galactic hub. During this collaboration and after, I built my second major base called Frosterico. For this one I did my only period of dabbling with game mods. I used both Uclear and SimCity 3000. These were 2 mods that expanded the functionality of building with new snapping points and build pieces. This did mean that Craze and others were not able to fully see my base. Not only that, but I manually adjusted the settings files for the game to allow building complexity from the default of 2000 up to 20,000. But due to how uploading a base works, only the first or potentially most recent built 2000 complexity of the base was uploaded and visible to others. With this I got very into farming and passive multiplayer aspects of the game. Primarily visiting other people's bases, there were no tools or databases around that helped with this, so I made a janky and convoluted Excel spreadsheet that allowed me to easily copy paste base information which people would submit via a Google form on my website with their base location, what is grown there and more. The spreadsheet then sorted through this information and allowed you to search through the bases based on how many portal glyphs you had, what crops are grown there, and even how much a full harvest is worth. This spreadsheet was embedded into my website and called the Farmers Market. The Farmers Market is where I first met many people who still hang out and participate in the community. Dark Lord Zelric and Xenoslave would confirm bases that had been submitted with Dark Lord covering PS4 and Xenoslave covering PC. They'd count the amount of crops there and let me know if those numbers or even the portal address was correct, allowing the farmers market to be a very trustworthy source of information. People you may see in stream chats like Pidge, Junt, John submitted bases to it. I continued experimenting with game mechanics and working out how things tick and developed my farming masterclass, which ended with my first ever stasis device farm in 2017. It took me 2 weeks to build, but also earned me the 465 million units required to purchase a max slot S-Class freighter. Back then they cost more, there wasn't a free one, and making units was a whole lot harder. I still have that freighter on my launch day normal mode save. It was through this and the farmers market that I started communicating with the community outside of my comments. I started working with a player-made group called the Consortium for the farmers market, and then the Galactic Hub, and was invited onto the team. Through the Consortium I was introduced to the amino pages where I first met Sword. Sword had been sharing the knowledge of farming in game with new players. We got on instantly and quickly became good friends. I've made so many friends through No Man's Sky. For a game that at its core was about facing an empty galaxy on your own, there sure is a huge social aspect to it.
Awesome base, thank you, Chirpy Bear. Awesome. Thanks for dropping by, man. That's very cool. So long, and thanks for all the fish.
I would talk to the co-founder of the Galactic Hub, 710, about a number of things, including my intentions of making my own player civilization. He was extremely supportive of it. The original idea was that the Civ would be close to the Galactic Hub, allies from the beginning. Being close would allow the easy sharing of discoveries without insane travelling required. No Man's Sky was a lot more local at that time. Travelling long distances was only done via black holes or warping. My Civ would also focus mostly on survival and permadeath players, as there weren't really any at that time that did. It took a while, but on the 11th of February 2019, with a lot of planning and a whole lot of help from my friends, we launched.
Welcome to the Union of Allied Systems. The UAS is a No Man's Sky player civilization spanning 4 regions in space and bleeding out into the outer regions. We have twin capitals, with Londinium located in the White Sun system of the Pokin Spur, also known as UAS-1, and Sinon located in the Baihu system of the Dohum-Adid Nebula, also known as UAS-2. Londinium is the political capital, a beautiful autumn azure planet. It may look lush, but it is most certainly exotic and void of the standard lush bounty. Full of flora and life, it never storms and is an exceptionally rare planet that is peaceful on all difficulties. The White Sun system in which it resides is a high economy system, in which only Londinium can be found. The local populace love their futuristic Gothic European style of architecture. Politically and in many other ways it is the mind of the UAS. Sinon is the cultural capital, an equally stunning planet in very different ways, a true lush with red grass, purple trees and golden oceans, thriving with life of flora and fauna, never storming, and as with Londinium, is an incredibly rare planet that is peaceful on all difficulties.
The UAS is now 3.5 years old and has been growing ever since. This is not remotely everything. To cover everything it would be far too long of a video. All of this is centred around a video game that captured my attention with the infamous demo where Sean backs out faster and faster saying how all of these are systems you can visit, and hooked me for good in Atlas Rises with fun and interesting gameplay and a new group of friends that has been growing ever since. Okay, so I can't finish this video without mentioning the Tower of Death. I've had lots and lots of memorable moments in No Man's Sky, but the Tower of Death is one of the most prominent and most classically No Man's Sky moments I've had. It all started when I managed to get a launch special edition copy of No Man's Sky for the PS4. Up until then I had been a PC only player, and I still am now, but as I managed to find a copy of this, I thought finally I'll be able to play with the guys on PS4 too. For new players this was pre the crossplay update, so platforms were restricted to themselves. I set it all up and tested it for the stream. I was streaming the PS4 gameplay to my PC using PlayStation's app, and feeding that video and audio to my streaming software to send out to the world. It sadly did not work. My router could not keep up with 2 distinct huge signals trying to use the router at once, while also playing NMS in multiplayer, so my stream was incredibly laggy and pixelated. It just wasn't getting the bandwidth it needed. There was no quick fix, so I had to call the stream. But as I was already on the PS4 and in a group with Dark Lord Zelric, John Hall and of course the Mighty Sword, of which at the very least John has cleared his day to do this, we decided to just play without streaming or anything. We all went to John's then beautiful home planet called Teal Embers that he had explored a whole lot to find, and John said he was cool with me building a base here. Sword, being the man he is, instantly sorted me out with a few billion units worth of stasis devices, a whole crap ton of S-Class technology modules, and proceeded to go off and dig up 100 or so buried tech for me. I was instantly playing an established save. I flew off over Teal Embers to find my base's spot and found this nice little island that had a badass underwater cave opening up into the centre of it. I decided there and then I was going to build a big ass tower. I thought it would be lovely for this tower to also have a delightful Zen garden, so I called it Halcyon Gardens and started designing a pretty East Asian looking tower. Dark Lord Zelric and John were helping throughout, and after Sword dropped me off a bunch of buried technology, he had to go some family stuff and Funny Imps came on for a while. Sword and Funny Imps would pop in and out of the group periodically as they were limited to 4 back then. This tower started growing and growing. I tiered it like a pagoda. Little reference here is that the Sinon Tower in the UAS is the second iteration and less deadly version of the Tower of Death. This thing was getting ungodly high and very complex. Somehow the game was allowing us to continue. Darklord showed us some glitch building where he put a trade terminal flush onto a wooden wall, which at the time was a very impressive thing to do. Time flew by. We kept building up and then we repainted the entire thing. 10 hours. We got lost in the game for 10 hours. It was 4 AM for me when I realised. It was a huge tower that from the outside looked awesome. It was a little empty inside but still very cool, so we moved back a bit to get a full view. This was when we discovered that a PS4 was not capable of having the entire building in view at the same time. The Tower of Death had been born, and simply attempting to look at it in full would blue screen your PS4. It took Darklord a few attempts to be able to even log into his account and leave the area. I believe in the end John managed after a lot of effort to get a single image of the Tower of Death from a long distance, so we think it simply hadn't fully loaded in. And that is the Tower of Death, an unforgettable timeless night of friends playing No Man's Sky, creating something beautiful as a group while simultaneously breaking the game. Well, that was nice, going down memory lane. Big thank you to Hello Games for sponsoring this video and supporting what I do by not only asking me to make a video of my journey with No Man's Sky, but also giving us a fantastic game I've enjoyed for years. Please check out the special link in the description and pinned comment. It'll send you to lots more info on No Man's Sky and let them know I sent you. Have a fantastic day, folks.